Hello, and welcome to Life Coach Confidential. I'm your life coach, here to guide you through the intricate and often painful intersections of love, belief, and personal transformation. In today's episode, titled Left Against Right, I invite you to lean in and listen closely to a story that cuts deep. In this installment, I bring you a raw, unfiltered confession from someone whose journey poignantly illustrates how even a deep 5-year relationship can be unraveled when personal bonds are challenged by ideological divides. For years, she and her partner navigated life together with warmth, compromise, and a shared middle ground, until the election shattered that balance. What once was a space for respectful debate and mutual understanding transformed into a battleground where stark beliefs drove them apart. Her story is a powerful testament to how external forces, in this case the polarizing influence of political ideology, can intrude into our most intimate connections. She speaks of the profound heartbreak of witnessing a love that once bridged differences crumble under the weight of uncompromising convictions. Now, without further ado, please listen as she shares her own truth, a confession of love lost, and the painful realization that sometimes the very values that once united us can also tear us apart. As you listen, I encourage you to reflect on your own experiences. Have you ever felt that the very values that once united you with someone could, over time, drive you apart? What happens when the middle ground you've always relied on suddenly seems to vanish? Take a deep breath, settle in, and join me on this journey as we explore how ideological divides can reshape our lives. And ultimately, how we can find the strength to rebuild, even when everything seems lost. Let's begin.
I still remember that day as if it were etched into my very being, the day when everything we once shared vanished without warning. For 5 years, despite our political differences, we always found a way to meet in the middle. I stood firmly with my beliefs, confident in who I was, and we managed to bridge our opposing views with conversation, compromise, and a shared love that I thought was stronger than any debate. We got along so well in every way imaginable, until politics became the wedge between us. We laughed together, enjoyed the same hobbies, and built a life filled with shared experiences and mutual respect. Our connection was effortless in every aspect of our day-to-day lives, from the way we cooked our favorite meals together to the quiet evenings spent watching movies and talking about our dreams. It was only when we ventured into discussions about our political ideals that the cracks began to show, hinting at a deeper divide that neither of us had anticipated. But then the election came and everything changed. One moment we were partners navigating the complexities of our beliefs together. The next he told me that he felt like he had lost the election, not in the usual sense of votes, but in the sense that he had lost a part of himself. In his eyes, the outcome signaled a defeat so profound that he could no longer stand by the middle ground we had always found. He became consumed by a newfound passion for a different vision, and transformed him in ways I never imagined. He said our relationship could no longer survive because the vision he now embraced was too different from the one we'd once shared. His voice was laced with anger and bitterness, and every word cut deep. In that moment, he walked away, leaving me to grapple with a betrayal that went far beyond a simple breakup. It wasn't just that he left, it was that he left behind a love we'd both nurtured for 5 years, reduced to ashes by a single unyielding ideology. I felt abandoned not only by the man I loved, but by the very idea that our differences could have once been a bridge rather than a barrier. The politics that we used to debate over dinner, which never seemed so daunting, had suddenly become the wedge that tore us apart. In the aftermath, I was left questioning everything. Was our love ever real? Or was it merely a fragile construct built on shared assumptions that could be shattered by a single moment of ideological defeat? The hurt was profound. I spent countless nights trying to understand how the person I knew could change so drastically, how a passion for a political vision could replace the warmth and intimacy we once shared. I felt as though I had been cast aside, my identity and values dismissed as insignificant in the wake of his new, uncompromising stance. Now, as I share my story, I do so not because I have all the answers, but because I need to let this truth out into the open. I want anyone who has ever felt the sting of being left behind by a love that couldn't survive the clash of deep beliefs to know that they are not alone. This is my raw, unfiltered truth. A confession of how a once-cherished bond was undone by the very differences we once thought we could overcome.
Thank you for staying with me through this deeply reflective journey. As we close today's episode, I want to leave you with some thoughts to carry forward. Her story, a raw confession of love torn apart by ideological divides, reminds us how easily our closest bonds can be shaken when external forces intrude on what once was a safe, shared space. If you find yourself in a situation where ideological differences are threatening to tear your relationship apart, here are 3 practical tips that might help you bridge the divide and prevent a breakup. Prioritize open, respectful communication. Make space for honest conversations where both of you can share your beliefs without fear of judgment. Set ground rules to keep discussions calm. Listen actively. Avoid personal attacks. And focus on understanding rather than persuading. Sometimes, agreeing to disagree can be the first step toward preserving the connection you cherish. Reaffirm shared values beyond politics. Remember that love is multifaceted. Identify and celebrate the non-political aspects of your bond, shared hobbies, dreams, family traditions, and the everyday moments that brought you together. Remind each other that despite your differences, you once found common ground, and that these shared experiences can serve as a foundation to weather ideological storms. Establish healthy boundaries. Know when to take a break from heated debates. It's okay to set aside political discussions during moments of intimacy or when emotions run high. Now, as we close this episode, I want to leave you with a few questions to ponder. Have you ever felt the painful sting of a divide that wasn't just about opinions, but about the very essence of who you are together? What steps have you taken, or could you take, to rebuild that shared space when the conversation turns bitter? Is it possible to honor our personal beliefs without sacrificing the love and unity that brought us together in the first place? But here's something to remember. Our political landscape is always in flux. In America, we live in a world of 4-year terms, and then, boof, things change. What feels so definitive today might be a distant memory tomorrow. In the midst of all this, it's essential to learn to be flexible and not take everything too seriously. Sometimes the constant barrage of political news can overwhelm us, and it's okay to tune it out. Many people manage their lives without even watching the news, choosing instead to focus on what truly matters in their personal lives. If you find yourself caught in the relentless cycle of political drama, I encourage you to step back and reconnect with your own values, your passions, and the relationships that bring genuine joy. Allow yourself the space to grow, to heal, and to find balance, even when the world around you is in constant motion. Your thoughts and experiences matter, and I invite you to share them. Let's start a conversation about how we can transform conflict into connection and heartbreak into hope. If you found this analysis helpful, please subscribe and join our community as we navigate the complex interplay of love, identity and belief together. Your journey from division to unity might just inspire someone else to find their way back to the middle ground. Thank you for listening, and remember, even in our most challenging moments, there's always a path toward healing. Let's support each other in navigating these turbulent waters and finding our way back to the middle ground where true connection and growth can flourish.